Let me introduce myself. I'm Curtis Seeger, Chair of CB7. The librarian from the Riverside branch could not stay, so I'm reading briefly her report. They recently hired a new children's librarian who will be starting the end of February, and AARP is now at several neighborhood locations offering free tax preparation. And if you go to the library, they will let you know. And the Agnes branch will be hosting playwright Sharon Washington on March 3rd. The NYCHA task force has agreed to work with Community Board 9 and will be co-sponsoring 4 forums. The first one will be on March 28th at 7 p.m. and it will be on maintenance issues with special thanks to Madeline for doing this. Paige, Richard, and I met with the Borough President's Office on talking about the super talls. We still do not have anything solid to report back, unfortunately. There will be, the Housing Committee will be doing a workshop on look-backs of rent histories in March. We still don't have a date or location for that, but that will come up soon. The fiscal year 2019 preliminary budget documents have been sent to us, and a special thanks to Mark Diller, who will be sending in a report on them. On Wednesday of last week, I testified before the city planning on the 108th Street project, Wishfish project, which went well. And the agendas have not yet been posted for this month, but they will, I understand, be posted tomorrow, and that concludes my report. So, we will hear from the public. Our first speaker is Dan Slibin from the American Museum of Natural History.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I know I have a minute, and I just want to be brief. My name is Dan Slibin with the museum. I've been before you guys before, but I wanted to introduce a new member of the museum staff that just started a couple weeks ago. Melissa just joined us from the mayor's office. She works with the fire department, doing a lot of government relations work. She's also a formerly a science teacher from KIPS. So we're happy to have her join the team. I hope you guys can welcome her to the neighborhood. I know she's not a West Sider, but she does live right across town on the east side. Her email is mdiaz@amnh.org. Any questions, things you need from the museum, please feel free to email her or myself. And I also wanted to make sure everybody was aware that the summer camp schedules are out for the museum summer camp program. So for anybody who is interested in taking part in summer camp, I know you are, Mark, you're looking forward to it. Or if you have family members that are, please feel free to look at the museum's website and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
For board members that don't have seats, we have a few extra seats up here. Don't be shy. Our next speaker is Omar Vera from the Transit.
All right, so I wasn't here last month. Happy New Year, everybody. And I know it's just a minute, but let me just say, we have a savior, like we have a hero now operating the reins of the transit, DOT Transit. His name is Andy Byford. Andrew and I met him last month. He's a great guy. He's gonna make the MTA great again. I believe the Upper West Side, it would be thrilled to have an ally like him. So please give him a round of applause, and we'll see you up ahead. See you.
The next speaker is Mia Reuter, Service Support for Formerly Incarcerated.
My name is Mia Ryder. I work at the Justice and Education Initiative at Columbia University. We offer educational opportunities for incarcerated people and formerly incarcerated people. I just want to let people know about our services, and I'm interested in talking to people who might have support for people who are coming home.
Any questions from board members?
Yeah.
next speaker is Chris Giordano from Xtel Mega. He's talking about the Xtel Mega Tower.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of a couple of the buildings that are bordering the, what would be potentially 775 foot tall mega tower at 65 and 66th Street. Our question is, what actions is Community Board 7 and local government taking to manage the safety and quality of life around the Xtel construction site, particularly construction on weekends, deliveries and garbage at site, excessive noise and environmental pollution, and transparency on the construction plans and timeline, including the date for approval of the final plan.
Okay, Community Board 7 has not seen any plans. It is an as-of-right development, so we don't get any plans. We have asked the developer to meet with us. We have not so far heard back from them. We keep asking, so we keep pushing. We will have a construction oversight group with members from the community involved. We will invite people from the transportation committee to serve on that committee. We will invite DOT to the oversight committee meetings, as well as all the local electeds and the community, somebody from the 2O police department. We take this very seriously. It is a major street with all kinds of problems, and so we will stay on top of it to the best of our ability. Our next speaker is Fabrice Armand.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fabrice Armand, and I'm the Director of Strategic Partnership for the Department of Correction. I'm currently employed with Officer Cotton and Officer Yang, who are both a little bit over 10-year veterans of the Department of Correction. And part of the reason why we're here right now is just to let you know that we are currently hiring for correction officers. We're administering correction officer exam 8330. Starting salaries for correction officers begin at 45, and after 5.5, base salary is 95,000. So if you know any individuals that are currently looking, they only need the social security correction officer, so definitely is a big hire. We also have a lot of opportunities. Most of the time when people think about the Department of Correction, they solely think of uniform positions. They don't think of non-uniform positions. I currently am not a correction officer, but I work with the Department of Correction and some of the officers. And we currently have positions for attorneys, agency attorneys, deputy general counsel, senior cook, legal coordinators, dietitians, project managers, yoga instructors, and so forth. So some of the starting salaries begin at 45 and they go up to $180,000. So I actually left all these sheets in the back. So if anybody's interested, please feel free to actually do that.
Thank you so much. A question?
Sure. Have you reached out to the Parent Jobs yet? ParentJobs.com. It's an organization that serves public school parents who work, and they're a salary.
So they actually already have
Thank you so much. Next, we have Rebecca Creekman from Senator Violence Office. Oh, sorry. First, we have Diana Howard from the Global President's Office.
Hello, everybody. A couple announcements from our office. All right. So first up, the CB applications. Thank you for all the returning members that have that are up for reappointment that have already submitted their applications for reappointment. For those of you who still have to reapply, you have until the 9th of this month. That is Friday. Excuse me. We have capital funding available for nonprofits and public schools. The deadline for that is the 20th of this month. So you can contact our office and budget if you have any questions about the application process. Excuse me. I have on the back table, there's a copy of the VP's recommendations for the 108th Street project. She did recommend approval for it to go through, so we're happy about that, and we'll continue to be involved with the community board, WishFish, HPD, and other stakeholders as the project moves forward. Lastly, I'll say that we are having a meeting with the Howard Milstein properties regarding the Lincoln Plaza Cinema. As you guys know, that cinema closed down. The building said they had to do some renovations, much needed renovations. But there are some concerns from our office and the community of the future use of that space. So we'll be there to advocate on behalf of the community. And that's it. Thank you. know, there will be.
Working on a great project. Thank you.
Sure.
What's that? Hey.
Howard?
Good to see
Welcome back.
Oh, I have one more thing, I'm sorry.
Sorry, the deadline for applications for your grant process is the 20th.
That's correct.
That falls during the public school winter break. Any chance we can push that?
That's not on me, but that's a request that I can make. Last thing I'll say, on the last month's newsletter, we did have a save date for February 25th for the state of the borough. It's been postponed to a little bit later, so more information and date will be following that, but if it's not going to be this month, the 25th. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we will have Rebecca.
It's good to occur to you.
Hello, my name is
Social
Rebecca. I'm from Senator Whale's office. You guys
Such a
usually
common
see
good.
Tara. She's up in Albany working on the budget hearings. A lot is going on. You may have seen in the governor's executive order, priorities were including the Child Victims Act, which would lift the statute of limitations for civil and criminal acts of child sexual abuse. Something we've been working on for a while. In terms of bills, we just did a bill on student risk mitigation orders with Senator Pagnall, and that would give the court the ability to take guns away from people who are either among themselves or others. And we just did an exciting press release and press conference today on Tide Pods. You guys might know the Tide Pod Challenge. Teenagers are eating them for fun. There's actually a bigger issue of kids mistaking it for food. Senator Whalen has legislation that would require manufacturers to substantially change the packaging of Tide Pods and detergent packets and make them uniform color and clear warning labels. We did a president today calling Procter & Gamble to voluntarily take those actions. I think any questions.
Any questions?
Great. I love the 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Next is Appledale Controversia from Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal's office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aldo, and I'm from Assemblymember Rosenthal's office. Just want to echo what said as well. The Assemblymember Rosenthal is pleased to see that the Child Victims Act is included in this budget. A couple of other things you're pleased to see as well. Time, 3 menstrual hygiene products in schools for students, and also provides a recommendation that corporations seeking contracts with the state must take those percentage of female board members on the boards. So just pleased to see that. Assemblymember Rosenthal also actually met with Milton Properties on December 21st last year as well to express the community's concerns echoed here and other places this issue too. And we received a commitment to try to keep this in line. So we'll be reminding Wilson Properties of that commitment frequently as the government continues or begins. And then just a quickly plug a couple of events that are applied to that. The Assembly member is holding a women's tax clinic on the 21st of February from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're just asking that people are to use our office with the numbers in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brennan Ward from State Senator Marisol. Welcome, Terrence.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brennan. I'm from State Senator Marisol office. Without repeating too much of what was said before, budget. Two events that are coming up, senators are taking part in. Is a financial aid event on March 2nd at 5:30 p.m. for students who might still find it hard to afford college. We're applying back for that. There's also a Black History Month celebration. This is actually this Saturday, and Senator is pleased to be the key appointment. And we have two pieces of legislation the Senator is pushing for. One of them is about net neutrality for the federal government has ended net neutrality protections. Governor Cuomo has passed an executive order requiring all ISPs that do business with New York State to follow the net neutrality. We see, however, with the federal government, executive orders can be undone, changes can be made. So the senator is supporting a bill to make it a state law, so it's not just pending away from the Senate. And second of all, this is something that was an oversight for elections. Primary day is September 11th. Not only is that 9/11, it's also the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah. So we have co-sponsored a bill that moved primary day to September 13th to increase accessibility.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Emily Knowles, Congressman Nadler's office.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Emily Knowles, Congressman Nadler's office. Just two brief updates. First of all, as many of you know, the Congressman was recently elected to be the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. In that role, over the last couple of weeks, he has been on the front lines and pushed back to the release of the Nunes memo, the memo which the president thinks indicates him of any wrongdoing and eliminates the need for the investigation of the special counsel. The Congressman is continuing on all fronts to push to secure the role of Special Counsel Mueller to make sure that the investigation can proceed. Also, I want to let you know the Congressman is hosting a community town hall this Monday at NYU at 6 p.m. This is the second time we've had to reschedule. Previously, that was usually shut down beforehand through budget negotiations, so we're really hoping we don't do this a third time. But again, it'll be this Monday at NYU at 6 p.m. RSVPs are welcome, and I would advise you to show up early because we will see some. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Daisy Moore from New York State Senator Serrano's office.
Hello, my name is Daisy Moore. I'm from New York State Senator Serrano's office. I brought our February newsletter with me, and it has information about the flu, it has information about the New York State paid family leave. It also has some of the voting legislation that is active within the Senate, so you can put that up to the back. And I also brought a pamphlet with me, and it has the State Senate bill status hotline number, and that number is 1-800-342-9860. And so if you call the number, they can give you an update in terms of what bill you're looking for, if it's in the committee, if it's going to be on the floor, if it has been signed and such. And then our office is located in East Island, but we have normal office hours. And for the Upper West Side, that's on Thursdays. So the next time we're going to be on the Upper West Side is actually this Thursday from 3 to 6 at the St. Agnes Library. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have one last public speaker, Angela Miller, Transportation for Students at PS 191.
And they moved to a brand new building that is on 61st and West End. There is no signs that indicate the drivers that the whole area is a school zone. I'm concerned how drivers turn when they turn left and right. And when children are crossing the street, there's no crossing the road.
Consider that not the same.
In that center, all
The split school zone. That's really good.
They're just opening a new high school. There's no signs that tell you any driver that the whole area is a school zone.
Thank you so much. The Transportation Committee will be meeting a week from tonight, and they're nodding their head that this will be put on the agenda. And if
tell us where these U-turns are taking place? Is it on 61st West, West End, or is it in the Riverside South with the center complex? And none of the public schools has a crossing guard? But Culture Institute is now on 191 building. I think they have one on Amsterdam, but there's no crossing guard.
We'll get some photos of the area and we'll get it to the transportation committee.
Okay, so we're the Youth Education and Library Committee, they're the Transportation Committee, we'll go to their committee, and we'll work together.
Part of the problem, excuse me. They're part of the problem with the.
If you're interested in the job,
All right, talk offline, but part of the problem with the 61st Street west of West End Avenue is it's not a mapped street. So we're going to have to contact the developer. So it's both a Department of Transportation issue and but we'll make sure that this happens. We have something for this. Thank you so much. And I see that our city council member, Helen Rosenthal, is here. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, have my back to you, or with respect. Hi everyone, how are you doing? Nice to see everyone. We had a good holiday. I guess why don't we start with crossing guard. There's crossing guard shortage throughout the city, and there are a couple of us who are public council members, one out in Queens, another one in Brooklyn, another one in the Bronx, who are going to be doing staging a couple of events to make our point about there being a lack of crossing guards. This particular spot we've known about and we've told the PD, of course, since last year. And they, I would say One Police Plaza is balancing it up, but we're in the middle of trying to get Angela her job, which is really the right answer. The precinct commander is well aware of what's going on, and that is a challenge. Secondly, on the Lincoln Square Cinema, we've gathered together all the elected officials. So all together, we will be meeting on Thursday morning with the owners to see if we can't convince them to keep an independent theater in that place after it's renovated. There's no question that there's an outpouring, obviously, from the community, and it's something that we've been able to get all the elected on the same page about. So we're hoping to make that happen. The issue of super talls, which obviously is an issue in our district. Two updates. One is that the BSA meeting for 200 Amsterdam has been calendared March 23rd for those who want to come out and testify. Obviously, George James will be there on behalf of PD for Environmentally Sound Development. We're submitting testimony as well. And with the notion of super talls just in general, we've started our meetings with city planning, both at the staff level and with the chair, to talk about what we can do on a citywide level to address this issue. And we're making some headway with them. We think by the end of the year, at the latest, we're actually going to be able to make some citywide changes that I think will be positive for our community. If you're a NYCHA resident or you were watching the city council today, we had probably a 7-hour hearing with the chair of NYCHA and her top level staff talking about you know, all the problem with the boilers, loss of heat and hot water for 80% of the residents. And in general, the issues about lack of even management resources for the housing authority, which puts them all in a position of failure from the get-go. I think it's definitely, you watch the news tonight, you'll definitely see some animated clips. But there are next steps, and I think they agree with the next steps. And I think, and after having spoken with the mayor's side as well today, there's a real emphasis on doing something different and shaking up the system. So I think they are doing that, will be doing that. And lastly, Councilmember Mark Levine, who represents one district north of us, he and I were elected co-chairs of the Manhattan delegation for this term, and we'll be coming to, is Richard Ash here?
Yes.
Yeah, so. No. I will always remember what you said to me when I was elected chair of the community board, which is, soccer. So, we were elected co-chairs of the Manhattan delegation, and we'll be coming to, we'll be coming to the next borough board to talk about priorities for Manhattan. So, I have even more information in my handout, which is now in the back of the room, where we talk about work we've done around Lifeline and some new application season for the Summer Youth Employment Program. You should pick up the flyer. Lastly, we're continuing a civics series. Some of the members of the community board have been coming to these meetings every 2 months, talking about civic engagement, and that happens at the St. Agnes branch. So please come out and join us. Any questions?
I'm making progress. 30 people actually in addition to getting
This is the problem of the loss of our commercial tenants. I mean, we're losing jobs left and right. And it's how we were able to get our colleagues in other boroughs to agree to spend money on eliminating the commercial rent tax, because it affects all residents of New York City. But I appreciate it. I didn't know the numbers. That was not the topic of the hearing. I hear your question. That was not the topic of this hearing. What to do with the next gen money, and what are they building and who are they building for? So we didn't accomplish that. I think that's a great topic, and we have a new chair of the Public Housing Committee, Alika Ambrose Samuel. She's extraordinary. She grew up in public housing. She represents Brownsville and Bronx. Very level-headed, smart person.
Well, it's actually what the I just
Not in this hearing, but I think it's a topic that that council members Samuel would be you should meet her. If you want to help with that, I'm happy to.
So you're exactly right, that's the agenda, but there are many steps between asking and having it resolved. So what we're wondering about, what we want to know is the steps that he's taking to get us to that place. What's the timing of the renovation? What is the scope of the renovation? What is he looking to do after the renovations are completed? We're, as a unified group, and this is why I thought it was important for all of us to come together and do this, talk about what we have heard from the community and what we're looking for. So, no mystery. Exactly what we were. Unfortunately, it's up to the chair. Please Hi. So, great question.
So my answer to him, because I couldn't talk about it, we said that we will host a construction oversight group that your office will be part of the local department for this department consultation.
No, that's right. I mean, if it keeps apart your question, all good questions, we've been working closely with your group, the Quantum. In terms of safety, it is the norm that the community board will set up a site safety committee. And so we've all participated in those, looking around the room, that people have been on the board for so long. They are regular meetings that you can participate in, where we hold the developers' feet to the fire to make sure that you are kept safe. That includes getting look-aheads, so you know what work is coming down the pipe 2 weeks, a month down the way. It includes making sure that they have flagged people if they have big equipment, heavy equipment. So, first part of your answer, you can work with the community board about timing. I think the second part of your question gets to the challenge with Gary Barnett, who's playing fast and loose with the details. We are working very closely with our Department of Buildings and with our city planning and with the access I have to planning staff at the city council to make sure they are following every letter of the law. When they say it's as of right development that wouldn't go through your review, community's review, we're double checking that they're accurate about that. Right now, we've raised some questions that everyone agrees they have not answered. We've kept your group apprised of that. If the community board would like to be updated on that, I'm happy to do that as well.
I would love to be updated.
But this is, if they are accurate, that this is an as-of-right process. Once the plans that have been submitted are approved by the Department of Buildings, then it's a matter of safety. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi. Question about e-bikes. I feel like at every community meeting there are people out with pitchforks saying we got to get the e-bikes, we got to get the e-bikes. We had the 2.0 and the 2.4 at our transportation committee meeting a few weeks ago, and they were giving accident or crash statistics and said that of, I think it was 58 crashes with injuries, only one involved an e-bike. And I know it's a really complicated issue. Sorry? I don't remember. I could look it up. I know you held a hearing a few weeks or months ago, and I couldn't make it. I'm curious what happened at that hearing and what your views are and what you think should or should not be done about e-bikes.
The mayor has come down and said that because there's a challenge with the people who ride the e-bikes in many ways, right? They don't necessarily work for one restaurant. They could work for Grubhub or Seamless or some other company. The mayor's first approach is to ticket the business, not the bicycle rider. So given that the law is you cannot operate an electric bicycle in the city, it would be the business that would be held responsible. It becomes more of a challenge if the person works for Grubhub, but they are apparently ticketing Grubhub and those Seamless and those places.
What we heard at that meeting was that the individual bike rider is the one who has to make it.
So that's not the intent of what the
We
mayor's
appreciate
doing.
that,
So
but that was what the sergeant and the captain told us.
So he was saying that the individual bike
Rider.
was getting the ticket?
No,
They're taking the bike.
they're taking the
confiscating.
bike, and so let's say it's restaurant A. So the restaurant A has bike taken away, but if I was the rider, the restaurant, I would have to go and pay $500. So it's coming out of my earnings.
Right. Which is why this whole thing is a problem, because we want to make sure that the people who are riding the bike are not targeted unfairly, and on the other hand, obviously they need to follow the law. So I don't suspect the captain's numbers. I don't know if you do. But is that what you're sort of saying? Only 158?
Yeah, I mean, consistently, the data we've gotten and conversations I've had with the police department have been that almost no injuries are caused by bikes.
By bikes or e-bikes?
By either. They're not tracking difference between bikes and e-bikes, but 99+% of injuries in street crashes are caused by motor vehicles, not bikes.
Well, that's a whole separate issue. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000%. So why are we going after bikes and not cars?
Mhm.
You've got no argument.
Yeah.
You're right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all.
So now we're going to go into our business session. And our first item is transportation.
We have a few resolutions. The first one that you're looking at, 260 West 73rd Street. Actually, the committee passed in October, and for some strange reason, never came to the full board. And DOT is requesting that the full board do this so that they can move on this revocable consent. So, are there any questions about Resolution 1? All, okay, Gary.
You know, thing.
Thank you. Number 2 is a renewal for new car and limo. Are there any questions or comments? The community board has received no negative comments about this base, so committee is recommending a renewal of this base. Any questions? Thank you. The next resolution has to do with congestion pricing. We actually know some more things about the fixed NYC proposal than we did at committee. For instance, we now know that the northern boundary is proposed to be 60th Street. This raises a number of possible issues. I'm sure everyone has heard that, I'll use the Brooklyn Bridge as an example. If a vehicle were to cross the Brooklyn Bridge, use the on-ramp to the FDR Drive and get out north of 96th Street, they would not be subject to the congestion zone. However, you can't do that with the Williamsburg Bridge, which puts you square on Delancey Street, or the Manhattan Bridge, which puts you on Canal Street. So we need to find out some things. That's not to say we can't move on this resolution, but we need to know, and it actually goes to the last part of the resolution, which is to include the communities in the final resolution of this, because we don't know how sophisticated the car, the Easy Pass, and tag readers are. For instance, if this stay on the periphery were to be included in the final bill, and a West Sider were to come down the Henry Hudson Parkway and the West Side Highway, stick to a special red zone to get into the Lincoln Tunnel, which would not put the vehicles in the heart of the congestion zone. Those vehicles should probably not be and wouldn't be subject to the congestion fee. Similarly, a vehicle going up through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel up to West Street and into the highway, and then proceeding either to the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel, if they weren't in the heart of the congestion zone, they may not be charged. We don't know that level of detail yet, but this definitely affects the West Side because we don't know how residents are going to be treated yet. We don't know if you live north of 60th Street and make one round trip during the day into the congestion zone and back, will a resident be allowed one or more of those? We don't know this level of detail. So the issues that you see on the resolution sheet are things that we think we are all in agreement on. A lockbox, that the money must go to the MTA, that it can't be pilfered by any elected official. One of the things that is not yet in the final proposal, which was in Sam Schwartz's Move New York proposal, which was a reduction on crossings that do not enter the central business district. So under the old Move New York plan, the Marine Parkway, Cross Bay, Frosneck, Whitestone, Triborough, and Verrazano would have received a reduction in tolls, and Verrazano is among the highest tolls in the country. That's a great selling point to Brooklyn and Queens residents and elected officials. The governor has asked that be included in the final bill, but as of this moment, it is not. So there's a host of things we do not know. One of the big missing pieces also is that nobody has yet told Brooklyn and Queens legislators and or residents what transit improvements might be in the offing should this pass. What we do know is that 4% of those residents are commuting by car, and over 85% commuting by mass transit. So this is obviously a win for them. We just don't know the final level of details or what the final bill will be.
I know that all of them have community boards, many of them that are, especially ones in the affected districts, and certainly CB8, which is directly across the park from us, have been weighing in with kind of generic, much as what we're doing, but in relationship to their specific issues.
Nice. Did Board A make any comments about concern that folks might drive to the so-called border, which I don't see happening? I don't know why you would drive all the way from Brooklyn or Queens or Long Island and go to where the subway's going to be the most crowded and park and then take the train. So
I haven't seen their draft yet. I mean, I know them.
So the issues that we have so far that we're in favor of the proposal proposal, boundary being as north, we know what the boundary is now, so that's not going to change. The lockbox on the money raised and the community be included in some of these final details, which are still open.
When you say community, and if you refine a little bit better, or that's about as specific as we can.
Well, I think it probably should say communities on either side of the proposed congestion pricing border.
That's what you meant.
Yes, that's what we mean.
Okay.
I have just a quick question. I was trying to find out all of the scanners. I think it's great technology. But all of our scanners on highways right now, the bridges are overhead, and then they're read multiple times. The ones in London are about 18 inches off the ground, and they're read by reading the license plate. How, if they're going now that they've moved the northern boundary south, how are they going to control? And what is our streetscape going to look like along the riverside with overhead brackets to support the plethora of scanners that need to be needed during high volume traffic?
We don't yet know the level of sophistication of these scanners. London doesn't have, the reason that they're high up is so that where most vehicles put their Easy Pass, it's read by the overhead scanner. That's why it's above the cars and trucks.
In London, they won't scan the scanner. I mean, they don't have Easy Pass. They just scan the license plate, which is what they're doing now on every bridge.
This is such an open question that if somebody were to enter the zone and then go into a tunnel and leave and follow the prescribed route, it's possible that under the proposal you could get charged as soon as you cross 60th Street, but once you enter the tunnel, it would cancel that charge. We just don't know when and how this is going to work.
The only think about people commuting into the city from the theater district, anywhere from 54th Street down to 38th is going to have scanners because all those eastbound streets are through unless they have long data. So I'm just concerned about if we went through all the trouble to clean up our highway and now we may not have the technology yet to cope to make it.
I just want to make one point. We're debating the details of a program that hasn't had the details developed yet. So there's no answer to this, and these are important concerns, and that's why the fourth and I think most important bullet is that we should be included in devising the final plan. So again, we could debate these details, but they haven't been decided yet. I think the most important thing is we have a seat at the table when those details are being handed out.
Andrew, on the lockbox, I would suggest a small refinement. It says the money should go to the MTA, but that could include, for instance, the East Side Access Tunnel, which wouldn't benefit the city, would benefit people around it. So can we change it, make it a little more specific so it says something like it would go for projects within the city?
Well, if we said that, that would include East Side Access because that's within the city of New York. But I think I know where you're going, which is that it should concentrate largely on New York City transit. However, since suburbanites will also be paying that congestion fee, that's I don't know that we would be, and we want to, and there's reverse commuters as well who will benefit from East Side Access, and that's getting a ton of federal money. So I wouldn't be too concerned about much of this going to that, but I hear what you're saying. And I know the mayor has asked that it all be not only for New York City Transit, but he has to approve every piece of the usage of the monies, which if he has nothing else to do, that's great. Right?
Andrew, I'm assuming this will come back to us when it's in our final draft.
I do support the idea and the system of congestion pricing. If the plan had been passed when it was originally proposed, there would be much more money for mass transit. And
the Bloomberg plan, among others. I haven't always supported what he had recommended, and all the money that was to go to New York then went, by the way, to the Midwest and other places. I was in Minneapolis shortly after that, and they were just screaming with joy because they were getting so much money for mass transit, which got diverted because the federal money didn't come to us. But secondly, and lastly, really, I do support what Howard said. There are so many points that you made, Andrew. We either have to know in detail what you're talking about, which I don't think I do know because the resolution and the background from the committee does not give us enough information. But if you are saying that it is politic and a good idea for the community board to support congestion pricing now in general, I would like to know exactly why it's good to do that now, and I would support it, but then I would still ask for a little more detail in this resolution, which is stunningly, it's so vague that it's hard to know what we're talking about. I want to know between Howard and say, yes, I want to support it, but there's not enough backup here to give us some help.
We're just saying we're in favor of the proposal.
I wouldn't call it a proposal, I'd call it a concept. Because we don't have a proposal, it's a concept of congestion pricing.
Well, we don't.
Which most of the people in the team are quite familiar with already. More detail just doesn't exist.
Could I
put in some input from the community before they start writing this down?
Roberta, could I answer that question? Because we discussed this a lot at committee, and we had the issue that they're coming up with this plan, and we're worried that they're going to finalize the plan before we have a chance for input. So what we want to do is preemptively say, you know, we need a voice in this, that we're in general supporting of the concept of congestion pricing, but this is going to have a dramatic impact on our community because we sit right on the edge, and the edge actually goes through our district. And so what we want to do is make sure that they're coming to us and making us part of the discussion, and that we're preemptively saying, you know, you got to talk to us before you do anything because it's going to have a huge impact on us.
We can do that, or we have, we're going to call it Audrey, then we're going to call it Andrew.
I think we need to go one of two ways. One would be for us to list what we want, and we listed all kinds of issues very often. The other is to say, understanding that we do not know the details, we want to make it clear that we support congestion pricing, and we want to be part of the process of formulating the plan. But the way it is now, neither here nor there. So I think we should go one way.
And I think we can add the questions that I raised as part of the
Thank you. You know, there's been excellent reporting on the exorbitant and unnecessary costs of doing work to the subways. One of my concerns is that through congestion pricing, we just continue to bring in money and it just is wasted unnecessarily and doesn't get the correct work or the necessary work done. So I don't know if there should be something in here stating that, you know, we should also urge that the monies that are raised are used more effectively versus just going to what seems to be this kind of black hole.
Well, actually, there is talk of, and I don't know how far this has gotten, but that it not only be used for capital, but that it be used for expense as well, which could reduce the frequency of fare hikes or the amount of the fare hike. So it isn't necessarily solely for capital. And that's being worked out as well. We just don't know so much at this point.
I agree with pretty much everything that everybody said. Andrew, I would just suggest that since what we're doing is declaring our general support for a concept, that we say so, that we say that the details are yet to be worked out and emphasize community involvement. Personally, I favor the lockbox concept, but I think you need to just flesh this out a little to include those couple of things. Yeah.
And I would suggest language something like this. Community Board 7 is encouraged by congestion pricing. Community Board 7 is encouraged by proposal for congestion pricing. However, the devil is in the details. We would like very much to be participant in the planning process and be consulted in the congestion pricing plan. And then I would add, because I think there's no debate about it, that whatever plan is adopted, there must be a lockbox for transportation. I think, you know, the
You
rest
don't
of
disagree with us raising the various questions that we have
well,
about
we,
the
you know,
proposal.
the far north is possible trouble. First of all, it doesn't say whether it's the northern barrier or the southern barrier that's supposed to be permitted. But beyond that, you know, what is as far north as possible? Washington Heights? Well, we would get some sense. So, and I would suggest taking that one out. Until we see.
Now we will, because we know.
Until we see what the plan is. But just a general support and just putting them on notice that we expect to be that.
Among the questions we have are these, and we'll enumerate. Yeah, that's fine. The questions are the ones I've read. By the way, there's another question that we don't know, which is if the readers do not allow for free travel along the periphery from the west side to the Lincoln Tunnel, does that then mean motorists will be encouraged to continue north and use the George Washington Bridge in unheard of numbers to get to New Jersey rather than going and getting hit with the congestion price? So just all of these questions.
Richard hit on a lot of things, and I think that preamble would be appropriate if you accept it. I think the most important piece, and well, it's a preamble to what's here. Whatever you want it, whatever you want it as. The key thing is, which this did not really get to, except community, back to community, it should be the community boards, and that we should, as a community board, consider it, because we will be able to hold hearings of the community, otherwise it's too big.
Andrew, may I suggest that the community board includes the concept of congestion pricing, because we don't have a policy or plan. And I would suggest further that we say why the board approves, which you said earlier, the infusion of capital. That just don't approve it because we are penalized. So I think you understand track. But at this point, it's a concept. There's too many things gathering, and there's nothing to assure us that even the boundaries have been set in stone. That will still change. And other things might still change. So I think if you have concept,
if we are gonna go the route of saying that the purpose of this is to support transit funding, which I, of course, I do support, I think it's worth also mentioning that it also addresses congestion in Midtown, and that is an independent virtue of the plan, and maybe we want to say that too.
Which, by the way, is slowing down.
Andrew, are you okay with all these changes?
Andrew?
I just want to say, why give even conditional approval based on a concept that so many important that's my answer is support, right? You could say that can't give any type of approval or disapproval until we have enough facts to make an educated.
I think we know
know enough to come out in support of the concept. We know that it's going to be at least 1.3 billion a year for the MTA, which, as you know, is sorely in need of it. The mayor's budget shows no money for the MTA, believe it or not. We have incredible congestion. The for-hire car services are riding through Midtown empty, cruising until they get a rider. I mean, the trucks are blocked, buses are blocked. So I think there's good reason to approve of the concept and these reasons for it.
And again, now is our chance. If we wait until we know everything.
Okay, so I wasn't going to say anything, and I think many people who have spoken have asked the committee to say exactly what they have already put on paper. But if we are going to add something that explains the rationale why we are in support of the concept, I think it's correct that this would bring money for transit. It's correct it would reduce, it might reduce traffic in Midtown, but fundamentally there's a completely different reason, and it certainly has been the rationale in London and been successful there, which is it's a pollution issue. It's an air quality issue. It's the use of scarce petroleum-based resources that are killing our planet. So that is at least as much a rationale for supporting congestion pricing, in my view, as, although very important also, obviously, is money for
All right, let me just respond to that. Under the Move New York plan, the original proposal, that would have placed tolls on the three bridges, which would have equalized the use of the crossings, and a motorist would have used the one that best met their needs instead of traveling miles out of their way to get to a free one, as you do now, and causing great congestion in Long Island City and downtown Brooklyn. And unfortunately, tolls on the bridges is not part of this proposal. So while, removing some discretionary and other trips into Midtown will definitely improve the air quality, it's not going to do exactly what it would have done had you put actual tolls on the bridges themselves.
Nevertheless, air quality
It'll definitely be, there's a whole list of worksheets that will put it
Can
into
we add some of that?
No, I think we can put one of the other rationale, the improvement in air quality and the reduction of project.
It's also an ability to get around the city more quickly if you do have to do that. So there are a lot of.
All right.
Mechanically, how are we going to do this?
We don't know.
You basically read the everything. Everybody.
We're gonna draft this and
He'll draft
circulate
it and
circulate.
We'll draft it and circulate it.
Jay, I thought your question was how will we know what the final proposal is, and I'm relying on our state elected officials to give us.
How will we know what our final resolution is?
We'll send it around.
Yeah.
We can send it around.
I think that's what.
What are we voting on now?
We're voting on the resolution as written, incorporating the comments that were made here tonight.
Right. And the lot funds. Right. And we want to be part of the process.
I'm in favor of congestion pricing in principle. I think it's great. It was very helpful in London, as has been mentioned at the meeting, transportation committee meeting. It's a huge benefit there. You look at 17 years, it's all a benefit. But Jay, if you were suggesting what I'm thinking, which is to we table this and then see next month and take a look at the resolution, because I have to say I've heard a lot of good suggestions, and it sounds like it's fleshing it out and taking quite some distance from this. Personally, I'm not comfortable voting on, we're going to make this change and make that change. I'm no longer clear on what we're voting on. I think it's important enough for a lot of the suggestions you made. Richard, I think your wording was really great. A lot of people, Andrew, I think you made some great comments as well. I personally would advocate for, waiting this month. We went to a spectacular presentation with Sandra Schwartz downtown, 2 weeks ago, about the proposal, and I think it's a pity that what you're saying, Andrew, that perhaps the equalizing of the tools is not going to happen. I would advocate for waiting on this for a month and giving you a chance to really flesh it out.
I'm a little concerned that this could be decided within that month, and then we might lose our opportunity to be heard on some of these issues of concern. So
I will add that all of the affected community boards have resolutions that are similar, that they're conditional on the facts and that they won't stay involved.
And I'll also make a further point that these aren't changes we're talking about tonight. These are additions and further clarifications. The goal of the resolution is merely to say we're in favor of the concept of congestion pricing, and we want to see it at the table when the details are handed out. I'm afraid if we don't act quickly, we may lose that opportunity.
I'm just wondering if whoever took the best notes might just write something up really quickly while we cover other stuff and then read out what the resolution is and we vote on.
We can have if somebody wants to take a stab at writing it, we won't have a discussion, we'll just have a vote. Rich, you want to? You need some paper? We're waiting till we get, we're gonna move on. All right. Michelle?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, hello, we're looking for your support on number 4, 283 Amsterdam. That's Salumeria Rossi. This is a business that is not changing. The dad's selling to the son. And you know, when you have corporate changes and changes of ownership with the state liquor authority, you have to go through the whole process. So those of you familiar with the restaurant know what it's about. There are no changes, and we're asking for you to approve a 2-year liquor license for Salumeria Rossi. Should I call the question? Yeah. This is number 4, 283 Amsterdam Avenue, West 75. Okay, all those in favor? Number 4, liquor license application.
Everyone okay, Ron? No?
Thank you. 3302. The number 5, unenclosed cafe renewals, 2161 Broadway, we know as Maisel Kaiser, and 975 Amsterdam, that's Spice. These are renewals, so they've been there. These cafes have been there for a while. We have a good relationship with both of them. No changes, and we're asking for your approval. The Maisel Kaiser is the unenclosed cafe on Broadway.
One in favor, nay, in favor,
So 31 0.
Yeah, we do the count again. Yeah.
All those in favor? Oh, so we have 32.
Oh.
Thank you. And finally, we have new cafes.
Just that quick.
Number 6,
2.5 hours.
Oh, it's number 6, 249 Columbus. This is a new business because they've had a cafe. The former owners had a cafe there, so there's no changes. 8 tables, 19 seats.
And we're asking for your approval. This was a former.
Rhonda.
Rhonda. Right, and now it's Ella.
Same owner then.
Yes, is this the same owner?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so no changes there. We're asking for you to approve this sidewalk cafe, unclosed sidewalk. Yes.
Is that moving any pictures? It's a very narrow space to get through there.
There's that whole street has a lot of scaffolding. I don't know about the scaffolding. This is this was the top of the conversation in our last meeting. So we're kind of moving forward inch by inch. The powers that be. I'm not giving us a lot of information. All right, all those in favor of the new unclosed cafe for 229 Columbus? It's a nightmare. Thank you, 3300. And finally, Caledonia at 424 Amsterdam, tiny little place looking for 3 tables and 6 seats. This is in that strip of restaurants on Amsterdam between 79th and 81st. Mark, you have a question? No. If they serve food inside, they have to serve food outside. But, yeah. Any other questions? Caledonia, isn't there a song? Yeah. All right. All those in favor of the new cafe application, unclosed cafe application for Caledonia? Right, Shelley?
In favor, nay,
So that's very, thank you very much. So now this means the meeting ended, because we're always last. Oh, no, of course.
Oh, we were second today.
And then we are working.
We have some slides for the entertainment. Yeah.
Thank you. Ken found the game to class.
There we go.
The mayor banned it.
Well, can I say one more thing then? Every single application that you heard today from BCI committee is not a new restaurant. These are like changes of ownership in old venues. There are a lot of empty spaces in our neighborhood. And I just want to say, go out to eat and drink. Yeah, Big Nick's we heard about. Go out to eat and drink.
Big
Support
Nick's
your
on
local
71st.
business. Who's around there in our village. Yeah, I think it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
What
How do I get information?
Yeah.
Sign up for information about the development of 214 West 72nd Street. And we're gonna tear down a building there. It's a bit of a high-rise private condo.
Well, the best way to do it would be to sign up with the community board and also talk to Richard, who's the chair of the land use committee, who's got the white hair there in the front row, second row.
Okay.
Richard,
Second
he's
row
the
with
guy
the
that,
glasses?
yes, yes.
I have
And
everybody's
he will
attention.
tell you when it comes up.
They were supposed to come and speak.
This is Parks and Environment Committee, and we have one resolution. and it has to do with upgrades to the summer stage, which is happens in Central Park.
You can also take the page who's got the pink shirt.
West
here,
of East 77th
next to the guy
Street,
who's
not
speaking.
east of East 77th Street, is the resolution states. You go east, you'll end up on Fifth Avenue.
Probably more responsive.
The summer stage is brought to us by something called the City Parks Foundation, which is a nonprofit group that runs events throughout the city for schools and youth all over the city. Almost 500,000 people benefit from their programs. And the biggest and most public thing they do is summer stage. And they go to the next one. The next one. And the next one. Okay, here's a list of some of the people who have appeared at Summer Stage. And there are, Summer Stage basically happens between April and September. And when it's no longer there, they basically pack everything up and truck it out, except for two things. One are foundations that stay at Lumsey Playfield and that are covered over by sand that you can't see during the off season. And the other thing are two towers that stay there permanently. So the problem that they're having now, the reason they need the upgrades is that they have the stage has not been changed in almost 2 decades, and they're starting to have to turn away acts because the stage can't support the weight of the equipment and the lighting and such. So they need to upgrade the foundations and the towers. And also they're going to get a new stage and a new canopy over the stage. But that won't be permanent. That's going to be trucked away during the season. And also the other thing that they need to do is bury the electric lines. They have to dig new trenches and create new avenues for higher powered electric lines, which is going to reduce trip hazards and is going to upgrade their ability to put on new shows. So we go to the next one. And these are just some blurbs for the summer stage. We go to the next one. And this gives you some explanation of what I just ran through. And the next one. Next one. Those are that's the stage on the left, and those are the columns that are going to be replaced on the right. The next one. That's showing where some of the electrical work, needed electrical work. You can see some of the wires right now that are exposed that will be buried. And that next one. And this is what they're proposing, the alterations. And the next one. And this just gives you a schematic of where the stage is on the right as you're looking at that. And this is going to cost a total of $5 million. They've got about $2 million from city money, public money, and $150,000 of that came from the borough president and $50,000 from Councilman Rosen. We go to the next one. And this shows you the tower. And also on the right, you can see on the lower right, that's what Lumsey Playfield looks like in the off-season. Foundations are totally good. And go to the next one. And those are the columns again. Existing and proposed. And another benefit of the columns is it's going to increase the sight lines, because it's going to be a smaller profile, so that people in the crowd will be able to see. They're going to have to look around, so I think it is good. Okay, next one. And that shows the electrical work, trenching, and the next one. The canopy, which is not permanent in this new stage. And the next one. And these are just some artist renderings of what it's going to look like. And the next one. Okay. I think that's it. That's it.
Ken?
So the committee vote was unanimous in favor of this. Questions?
Yeah, Ken?
Yeah.
It feels like over the years, I used to go to a lot of great shows at Summer Stage, and more it feels like the better and more prominent artists are doing paid shows instead of free shows. And they say it's a benefit for Summer Stage, but I'm sure that not all that money is going to Summer Stage. It's being run as a commercial venue. I would say as a friendly amendment that we should definitely approve it. Summer Stage is a fabulous resource for the community, but that we should say that they should limit the number of paid shows and try to make more of the more prominent artists free instead of turning it into a paid venue.
Well, I did ask them at the meeting how many were free, and they said all but I think 3 or 4. And they put on over 20 shows in a year. And I think the money goes right into the city parks foundation.
That doesn't seem right.
Which gets fed back into places other than Central Park all over the city. So I think it's a net benefit to the city. But I think already they limit the paid shows.
My recollection is basically the same as Ken's. We don't have any reason to think, any show that's put on, the name of the game is maneuvering what's the gross expenses and what's the net expenses, and who ends up with money out of it. But the basic concept, I think, that Ken has explained, is what I recall as well, which is they have a few paid events, and that the money does go to the City Parks Foundation and then is used all around the city, not just for Central Park, which really needs it released. I would be reluctant to consider that a friendly. I'm not sure exactly what your amendment would be, Rich, but I don't think it's appropriate as a friendly amendment. Where the nature of this is to approve the physical changes, of which, by the way, the reason we have to do this is that it goes to the city Public Design Commission. The stage itself and the canopy are not part of that application to the Design Commission because they're not permanent. It's the electricity and the columns and relatively small pieces of this that are actually what we had to approve and what go to the Design Commission.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. If they get PDC approval, they can start the process in April, and they hope to have it completed by the 2019 season. Is there somebody else? Yes.
Was it every community board invited to discuss this plan?
They went.
5, 8, and 10.
Yeah, 5, 8, and 7.
Any, it's really terrific that both Gail and Helen are contributing money. Any of the other council members from 5, 8, and 7 contributing money?
It's a good question.
They didn't mention it.
We didn't ask.
I think very likely no, because they specifically told us the funding sources, and they mentioned Brewer, and they mentioned Rosenthal. And by the way, what we do now is, every time we have a project that's been funded in part and whole by our electeds, we put our thanks in our resolution here. But they're also raising a lot of private money, and a lot of it's into general council funds. So I think the answer is not, unless Maurice, unless we know more than we do, not any specific allocation from any other council member. Is that right? I say, but everybody in New York could use that park and use that. And not the
Way back then. Yeah, they're gonna continue. It's not like the construction we just left. I guess they're gonna do whatever trenching and such they have to do. Call the question? Why can't we?
Okay.
We are now. Thank you all for your vote. Everybody, take your hands in. Although it's good to stretch sometimes. Okay, we are going to be read a resolution.
Okay, we've worked on a revised resolution. I wouldn't say it's different, but it fleshes it out in more detail. Community Board 7 approves the concept of congestion pricing, which will have many beneficial effects, including raising funds for the MTA, reducing congestion, and improving air quality. CB7 is eager to be a part of the process to flesh out the details of the program and expects to have significant input in any matters which could affect our community. Finally, CB7 also requires that all revenue raised by congestion pricing be dedicated solely for use by the MTA.
One thing I would add is that the reason we want input is because the edge is right in our community.
Yeah,
I don't need to say that. It's clear that
it's not clear that yeah, I think we should mention that because people reading the resolution might not know why we're.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's a critical factor that we're directly impacted.
We both agree it definitely should go there.
One of those rare occasions, yes.
Yeah, you could say that. It's not exactly a hammer thing.
We'll just throw in the fact that our community is concerned with the impact on 59. One vote. All those in favor?
Somebody has a question.
Point of order. There's no A and B. It's just one line.
It's one line.
Okay.
For hire service now not.
Sure.
Are you withdrawing bidding?
Do you want him to read it again?
No.
This one.
Roberta, there are two sections, one of which dealt with for hire cars. I'm asking, are you withdrawing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It's just one resolution.
Because it's already in. No, but I want B.
Number 3.
Forget A and B.
I want B. Wait, I'm sorry, Polly. I want B in.
Chairs have withdrawn.
Why? Why?
The reason B was originally in there was because currently only yellow taxis are charged a fee that goes 80 cents of every one of those rides goes to the MTA. Uber, Lyft, Via pay nothing to the MTA. And the proposal in Albany now is considering a surcharge on the for-hire vehicles so that it's more of a level playing field. That's why we had B in there. If folks are happy with that, I'm happy to put it back in. Otherwise, we don't have to vote on that.
Call the question. All those in favor of the resolution as written?
Can you reread the resolution, please? Point of order, can you please reread the resolution? Please.
Okay, we'll read it one more time. Community Board 7, which represents the area from 59th to 110th Streets, approves the concept of congestion pricing for Manhattan, which will have many beneficial effects, including raising funds for the MTA, reducing congestion, and improving air quality. CB7 is eager to be part of the process to flesh out the details. Again, the point is we want to be part of fleshing out the details and not address all the details in here. To flesh out the details of the program and expects to have significant input into any matters which could affect our community. CB7 also requires that all revenue raised by congestion pricing be dedicated solely for use by the MTA.
Once more.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
I think that's the language you speak below 16th Street. Huh? You're on a different. Here, I work only like 2 months. 2 months there, 2 months here. I'm trying to work this out.
Not everyone's voting. Well, a couple people aren't voting.
It's good. It's a really good job. There's north side of Virginia.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? 2.
It's pretty.
You're abstaining. Oh, and 1 for cause. 1 for cause, 2 are abstaining. Okay, the motion carries. I want to thank everybody for
Really
working on this, so we can pass it tonight. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
It's been over.
And I wish everybody a good Thursday.
Yeah, I did. I saw you. How's it going? All right, good.